I now want to take a look at creating all these glass panels, and in particular building this small strip along here, and these side walls and the lowered glass, so that we can finish off the cantrails in the next tutorial. So this gives you an idea of what we're aiming for. So let's switch back to our surfaces, and I'm going to start by offsetting the metal to create the glass. So I'll do an offset, and I'll check it's set to geometry average. And I want it to go this way, which is minus, so I'll just make that 15, and then offset. And then whilst that's highlighted, I'm just going to isolate it, because I can't guarantee that these surfaces are aligned after the offset, so I need to check that before I continue working. So I'll check it for curvature continuity, and in this case it's fine. But another check I like to do is to turn on the CVs of the offset surface and check that nothing is zigzagging or doing anything weird. So that looks fine, and I've got a layer for my centerline glass, so I'll just assign it to that, and then turn it off, and bring the rest of the model back again. So the next task is to cut the metal back to this outside strip. And to do that, I'm using the construction surfaces, which are taken from the side surfaces. So here I've got an offset of the side metal, which is 75mm inwards. And at the back here is the surface I used to create the window edge on the side. So I'll use that one again for the top. So I just need to intersect those construction surfaces with all of the roof panels. And then if I turn the construction layer off, you can see that it gives me the strip on the top. But it isn't what I need along the windscreen. So I'll delete those curves on surface and just trim the roof one back. And this will then give me the side strip that I want. So now I then need to do the same thing along these windscreen surfaces, and there's lots of different ways I could approach it. But I'm just going to use a rail and set it to monorail, and then take this short edge from the roof and run it down this side. And I'll use the natural sweep mode. But I still want to use my original surface, so I'll just use the rail to define the edge by projecting it onto the roof surface. And then I'll just delete the rail. And then I can trim the roof surface to get the edge strip. And I can just do the same again here on the windscreen surface. But you might want to think of a different way, maybe using curves and the offset tool. And it's a good idea to try lots of different ways and work out which one was the most efficient. Now down here, my curve on surface doesn't quite go far enough. So I'll just use the extend tool to take that all the way to the edge. And then I can trim the middle part away. So I don't need those locators, but now I've got my outer edge. So for the inside surfaces, I can use the MS Draft tool. And I've got Chain Select on, so I can pick all the way along the inside here. And I'll go down in the Z direction. Now if I want to put a bit of angle on that, I can. And I'll just overbuild it into where the glass will be. So that looks okay. Now for this one at the back here, I don't want a random angle. I need it to relate to this inner edge here on the side glass. So I can go back to my construction surface that I used to cut that line. And then I need to bring my centerline glass back and take that and intersect it with the construction surface. And then I can use that curve on surface to build a skin. And I'll just make sure there's no crown, and then just pick the edges. And it doesn't need to go all the way, but I do want it to overlap the draft surface. And that should now look integrated with the chamfer we put on the side glass. So now I just need to intersect all of the draft group and the new skin with all of the glass surfaces. And then I can just start to trim. So I'll do the glass and this time keep the larger part. Now for up here I need to create the corner. So I'll intersect the skin with the draft. And then I can just trim them both. And that will create a sharp edge. Now if it looks too sharp, then I might want to soften it off with a fillet. So I just want to show you how the round tool deals with corners. So I'll choose round and then put values on each of these edges. And I'll change some of the radii. So when I have edges coming together, then Round will build the corner blend. So it's limited to tangent only, but being able to build that corner blend is one of the advantages over Surface Fillet. So you can see that it's just given a more realistic finish to that edge feature. Now, Round works best when I do all the edges together in one operation. So I should really have done these other edges at the same time. But I can do them now separately. And I can also set up the colours so that I can start to see the graphic separations on the car. And I've done something very similar at the back here. I've just built a draft surface from my metal surfaces and intersected it with an offset window surface. So all these surfaces will get refined as the project develops. But often you need to build in a certain amount of detail early on to really be able to see what's going on with the design.